This conference will now be recorded.
Okay. And just as a request for all of those who aren't speaking, if you could mute your microphones right now, that would be really helpful. Awesome, thank you. All right. Thank you for joining the City of Kingston's Art Commission at our monthly meeting. Today is June 11th. My name is Adrielle Farr, Director of Art and Cultural Affairs for the City of Kingston and organizer for our virtual meeting today. Before we begin our meeting, we would like to go over a few meeting guidelines to help us navigate this system efficiently and respectfully. We ask that members of the press remain muted and off camera for the length of the meeting. As organizer, I will reserve the right to mute anyone who unmutes themselves. Commission members and city staff will control their own mute button. Good practice would be to mute yourself if you're not speaking to avoid background noise and feedback. All of our meetings are recorded. Both video and written transcriptions will be made available to the public on the city's website at a later date. If you are not included on the agenda, please be respectful and courteous to our commission members by remaining muted. If you have any audio issues, please send a text message to the following number, 845-399-9072. As the organizer for today's meeting, I reserve the right to lock and pause the meeting to eject anyone who has behaved inappropriately. Lastly, at tonight's meeting, we have in attendance Arts Commission Chair Susan Lin, Arts Commission members Ann Bailey, Peter Criswell, Laura Giordano, Maria Elena Ferrer-Harrington, Ione, Linda Marston-Reed, Ward Mintz, and Lynn Woods. Guests to the commission today include Ray Curran and Richard Frumes. And I believe that's all. And non-voting members present today are myself, Adrielle Farr. Thank you for your patience during these difficult times. On behalf of the City of Kingston, I wish you and your family good health. I now turn the floor over to Chair Susan Lin, who will call the meeting to order.
Susie,
now you can hear me, right? Okay.
Yes.
So did everybody get a chance to look at the minutes besides Richard?
I thought the minutes were very good, and I'd like to make a motion to accept them, please.
Second?
I'll second.
Anybody opposed? Okay. So first on the agenda, we have Ray Curran.
Who is on the meeting who has a dog that's barking in the background? There's only one person who's not muted, and it's Ray.
My dog is not barking. My dog doesn't bark like that.
So can you mute yourself?
My dog has a very distinctive bark. And that ain't it.
So first on the agenda is Ray.
Hello. Hello, everyone. Thank you for asking me, at least Laura asked me, to come by and tell you about a new event that we are putting together with Ask, which we would very much want you to know about, because not only is it a new event, but it's an event that will be of regional interest. At least that's our intention. So basically, we're calling it the Kingston Annual. The Kingston Annual, with the obvious intention of having this becoming an annual event. We are teaming up with Ask to do a show of art that will be coming from both Kingston artists and artists in the region, the entire region. The idea being that it was really felt that this is time. It's time to have a show of that nature for Kingston, because there's a constant inflow of artists. There's lots of artists here, and it's happening all over the Mid-Hudson region. So we see this as becoming kind of a premier show in the coming years that will really, highlight what is happening in the Hudson region. There will be prizes. We will have a first, second, and third prize for that will be sponsored by different entities in Kingston and named after them. In other words, there could be, for example, the Rondout Prize, etc. The prizes are going to be worth $500, $250, and $150. And the show will be juried and curated by Julie Hedrick, who is on board already for this. And at the moment, we are also planning that, well, we are hoping, we are thinking ideally that this will take place at Ask. It will be open for a month, the entire month of September, which means that it will be open for the Art Walk as well. So we will be part of that. I have just learned that Art Walk is going to take place this year, but it is not likely to be in anybody's private studios as it has been in the past. It'll be in different locations in the city, and it'll be small groups of people. So we're going to fit into that pattern of group shows, as it were. And we're also going to have an online gallery that will run simultaneously to the show at Ask. And again, the question of whether it happens there or not is not 100% resolved yet, because of this COVID thing. But it's looking likely, is what we are now being told by Ask. The gallery, the online gallery, as I said, will run simultaneously, but will remain online for the rest of the year and will be archived. So, you will always be able to go back and see the shows from previous years. So that's where we're at. We have had announcements. We're going to have announcements in the newspapers coming out. Actually, some have come out already. There's another one coming out today, and we are beginning to get artists submitting their applications. We're going to have an exhibit that will take up all three galleries. So it's going to be, hopefully a fairly substantial show of, pretty well accepted pieces, as I said, with Julie being kind of the at the head of deciding, who comes in and who is accepted and who are the prize winners. So that's about it for now. This is September. It's slated for the beginning, the first Saturday of September, which I think is the 5th. Yeah, the 5th, Saturday the 5th. And it will run through till the Art Walk, which is the 26th and 27th, and come down after that. So that's it. That's where we're at. I see that Laura has her hand up, and Ward and Maria. So let me start with Laura, because she may actually add something to this.
Well, I just think, the website is up, and if you could give the contact information for people to submit their work, that would be very helpful.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you. I meant to mention that. So the website is a new website that was created just for this. So everything is occurring on that website. So it's www.kingstonanual.art. So the application is on there for everyone to know. We have been trying to get the word out as quickly and as rapidly as we can. But if you know people, It's not if you know. I know you all know tons of people who could apply. So I would ask and recommend that you get the word out ASAP, because we would like to have the applications entirely all in by the beginning of July, leaving us, a month to for Julie to go through them. And we would like to do things which we haven't fully, decided yet, like do video interviews of the winners. So that would go on the website as well. And there may be other things as well that we may be doing in conjunction with this. So this is the first year, and so everything is new. We're trying out everything. And of course, you never know with a new event. It could be a disaster, it could be a fabulous success, or hopefully at least somewhere in between. And this is where we're at the moment.
It's going to be fabulous, Ray. There's no disasters.
Who said that? Oh, thank you. Very smart. I like that. Okay. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Ward had a question.
Yeah, quick question. I saw that the deadline was July 1st. Is still that the deadline for the application?
Yes, it is. Yep. Ward?
Yeah, I was involved in the very beginning, just in people talking to me about this, and
That was
I
me.
noticed, Ray, that you gave an equivalence of juried and curated.
Oh,
And I don't
yes.
see that as an equivalent. It
Okay.
sounds like what you're doing is a juried show. If it were curated, it would be the guest curator would come in. There'd be, I'm making this up now, 100 submissions, and she would decide to put 5 artists into the exhibition and a particular theme, or that on a particular style. So I think that people should be able to know which it is when you're talking about it.
Okay, thank you for that, Ward. It was myself who had called you about that, actually, to get your insight. I tried to get a clarification on the distinction between curator and jury, and that's why I called you, Ward, to get that. And I remember very much your putting that out. I've gotten several other alternative interpretations of what a curator is, and to be honest with you, I finally just said, well, whatever, we'll ask Julie to do certain things, and it'll be called what it is called. Again, that's the pains of a first time round, and hopefully we'll get it absolutely accurately correct the next time round, but that's where we're at now. Yes, Peter, but thank you, Ward.
I just shared it on Facebook, and you might want to look at your graphic sizing, because the sizing of it is this huge thing. You can't actually see the cool graphic that you have. It becomes this giant graphic. So
Okay, that's in the website. Is that what you're saying?
so I just shared it on Facebook, and if you look at my Facebook page, I don't know if we're Facebook friends, but if you look at my page, you can see the graphic itself is outsized now,
Okay.
so you can't really read it. So there's a way that you can fix that in Facebook to have it scale correctly.
Okay, I will get on the horn with Rick as soon as I'm done with you folks. Thanks for that. Again, growing pains.
So are you considering, if we're talking about a juried show, if indeed it is that, are you considering at this juncture who the jurors might be?
Well, to be honest with you, I will have to say that that's not resolved. That's not resolved, that question, but yeah, it will have to be resolved. And what role exactly Julie will play in that, selection, as opposed to being a curator or not. Okay, all of those are things that are being refined and clarified, but not fully there yet. But really happy to get any input or suggestions that any of you make, because clearly this is a Kingston event more than it is anything else, and we are very optimistic that this will become a major Kingston event. Linda, hi.
So, hi, nice to see you.
Likewise.
So who's organizing this? Who's doing all the background organization for this exhibit?
Okay, well, basically we have a committee that is made up of ourselves with 3 or 4 people out of our events committee, and Brent Felker at Ask has a committee of 3 or 4, sometimes 5 people. So there's actually a pretty good team of people with a fair amount of experience, but so far we don't have all the answers. But we meet every 2 weeks, and more of these our questions are being answered as we go. But and Rick, of course, is an important player in pulling together, you know, the application and the advertising and all of that. So we're on the phone, you know, a couple times a week trying to, because there are questions that are coming at us from applicants as well, you know, things that, you know, oops, we forgot kind of questions. And so each time we talk, we add another thing to the website.
Another comment. I'm assuming that you're doing this, but I'll say it anyway, which is that rather than having to reinvent the wheel, you know that there are 2 organizations on either side of you that do shows like this. The Dorsky does the Hudson Valley Artist Show, and WHAM does its own juried exhibitions. And I'm sure that their experiences could be extremely helpful so that you don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Okay. Okay, WHAM, and the other one was who was the other one? Was
I unmuted myself. Sorry, the Dorsky.
The Dorsky, yes. Okay, well, I will follow up on both of those so we can hopefully get it entirely right.
And,
Right,
also-
I just wanted to know if there's a fee for entering.
Yes, there's a fee. There's a $10 per painting, which is 2 paintings only. That's obviously a very, what we thought, a minimal fee, and that's something that Julie was very committed to. So, I mean, minimizing it, I mean.
So no sculpture, just 2D?
It is sculpture as well. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And Carol, you had something?
Oh, I was just going to say, if there were if it's an annual event, is there an understanding of Julie's position moving forward? So how is it rolling?
We actually have hired her, you know, for this year only. I mean, at this point, that's really as far as we've gone. There is one other thing, I'm sorry, also that I meant to mention, which is that in all likelihood, there will not be an opening for the obvious reason that we don't want to have crowds. And so instead of having an evening, you know, jam where nobody gets to see anything and it's a social event, we're just going to have opening hours. And it'll be, you know, the first Saturday and Sunday will be the opening weekend. And that's something that I'm relying very heavily on Ask to be determining and organizing and figuring out, because, you know, they themselves are pretty much the home base for, you know, where this is happening. So they're the ones who will resolve the specifics of how many people are let in and when and how and all of that.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else have anything?
Could I ask a question of all of you, you know, in unison? Do you think this is a great idea?
Yeah.
Yes, yes. Board, yes. Yes?
Yeah.
Is this a good idea? I mean, we're very excited about it. So we're hoping that you will be as well, because we think it's going to be, well, we're really hoping that this will become a very important Kingston event.
Well,
and
one of
region-
the,
and
Ray,
regional.
one of, Ray,
Yes.
one of the reasons that it's important is also that it's bringing Ask sort of into the fold of where, you know, we haven't been working with Ask that much, and this is, you know, it's a collaboration with them that's wonderful, and it brings another group into it, and that's a really important thing.
Yeah, you know, I have to say that I personally am really thrilled about that as well.
Yeah.
You know, I had been on the Ask board for a few years, and I just was hoping somewhere along the line that we would do something with them. And it just so happens this year, as the leadership has turned over, as you know, Brent, the new director, he just jumped into it, you know, hook, line, and sinker. I mean, he was very enthusiastic about it right from the get-go. And apparently, I myself never went to one of their board meetings, but apparently it was unanimously accepted by the board as a great idea. And I love the fact that we have, you know, probably the oldest art organization in Kingston and maybe the youngest one, kind of like getting together and, you know, really starting to do something which hopefully will become very valuable, very helpful for, you know, for artists and for Kingston, of course. That's it for me.
Thank you, Ray.
Okay. I'm
Thank
gonna let you all go.
No,
Thank you, Ray.
you can let us go and you stay at the meeting?
Thank you, Ray.
Okay, so up next we have Addie on the master plan.
Hi. I sent you guys a little bit of an email, probably maybe like a half hour before the meeting started. But I did just want to give you guys an update kind of where we're at with cultural master plan and where we're moving forward with that. So we've just gotten our outreach strategy from Lord. And it's not 100% finalized yet. And once I get the final draft from them, I'll be sure to share that over with you so you can just take a look at what some of their strategies are. So essentially what we're working on for the, I'm just gonna go ahead. Do you mind muting yourself? Thank you, sorry. So essentially, I just want to pull that up. Sorry, I got a few windows on my end. Alrighty, so there are a few different things that are happening in the outreach strategy. And we had a really wonderful onboarding meeting with the Bang the Table folks, and Bang the Table is the platform that the Engage Kingston website is set up on. And I've gotten a chance to learn a lot more about the tools that we're going to be able to use on the Engage Kingston website. And I'm actually really excited with the amount of different things that we're going to have access to. Currently, we're still kind of figuring out if we're going to leave things where we need people to register versus having open enrollment. And there's kind of two forms of thought on that, so we'll clarify that moving forward. But there are so many different tools that are available on the Engage Kingston website. You can have polls, you can have blog posts, you can have videos uploaded. There can be maps with overlays on them where people can vote on places where they think things should be, etc. For the Open Streets Initiative, that's been really helpful. And for some of the planning projects that have to do with roadways, that's been helpful. For Arts and Culture Master Plan, it might not be necessarily as much. But I just wanted to kind of go over a little bit of just the role of the Arts Commission in relation to the Arts and Culture Master Plan, just because I want to make sure I kind of feel a little bit lucky because we have a different kind of relationship with our commission than a lot of the other commissions do with, their departments and things like that. So I just kind of wanted to make it expressly clear that while the Project Advisory Committee is one advisory committee, the Kingston Arts Commission is absolutely functioning as an additional advisory committee because the Kingston Arts Commission kind of exists as an advisory committee related to the arts for the city. If the city is doing a cultural planning project related to the arts, just want to make sure that everybody kind of knows that, you know, for any developments of surveys, workshop strategies, the workshops themselves, there isn't, not an expectation, but there is a hope that you all will be engaging just as much as the PAC and will be able to kind of provide feedback as well. So one of the first things that LORD is going to be doing once they get out of their research stage is going to be working on starting the draft of of 2 different surveys for the city. And as we know, surveys are only as good as the content there. So the more eyes we can have on it and the more feedback we can get, the better. There are going to be a series of small workshops that are going to happen, some virtual and hopefully some IRL. As I mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, some folks might not have heard, but we are working towards opening City Hall to the public again. So starting on the 22nd of June, we will be allowing public into the building. It'll be at reduced hours, but I do think it's a good sign moving forward for kind of where we're going to be in terms of IRL or in real life participation. But that being said, pretty much the way any kind of meetings or anything happens with the PAC, as the project manager, I'm kind of allowed to invite whoever I think should be a part of the meeting. So just want to make sure that you guys are all aware and that for each meeting that we do, there are some stakeholder meetings that are one-on-one, and the Project Advisory Committee won't be present for those either. But for all of the other meetings, I will be inviting every member of the commission to join those meetings to participate in. So that is going to be a really great way for us to kind of all be able to work on this together. If you haven't had a chance to get signed up on the Engage Kingston website, I definitely recommend doing that. And part of LORD's outreach strategy is that we're going to be doing some work on social media with doing some campaign pushes. So when those things come out, just, some reblogs and things like that can be really helpful. We're trying to kind of drive the majority of the traffic to the Engage Kingston website, just because that way, when people sign up on the Engage Kingston website, we automatically have a mailing list there. So that way we don't have to use an outside system to do the mailing lists. And additionally, I'm also working on what we call a sample fact sheet. So basically it's just kind of like a bullet point list of all of the different things that we're going to do on the cultural plan, and then also just a little bit of history. And that's kind of a good tool for, we've been talking a lot about this like talking points document, and that's kind of what that document is going to exist as. The other thing that lives on the document is the list of the PAC members, and then there's also a section on it for additional project representatives and advisors. So I've gone ahead and put the Kingston Arts Commission there, and Ruth Ann is also listed there as well, as she's been such a vital part of the project. So this document will be kind of like a one-stop shop for a lot of information. It's a little bit less kind of, the Engage Kingston website is a little bit more of a place where we can add images and things like that. And then this sheet is kind of more just like a bullet point list, members of the PAC, members of the advisory committee, and so on. So the email that I sent earlier was asking if people were comfortable or, interested in the idea of listing, because on the fact sheet that I have right now, I just kind of have the list of the members of the Arts Commission, but I always think it's kind of nice to provide a little bit of background of who everybody is, because I think it provides context for why people are on the Arts Commission. So I had asked folks to let me know how they wanted to be credited, if you wanted to be representing a specific organization, or if you wanted to be representing yourself individually, that kind of thing. Just let me know so I can just make sure that I'm crediting everybody the correct way. So we do have a rather robust PAC. I think we have one of the larger ones that the city has seen. So with those individuals, in addition to the 9 of you that are on the Kingston Arts Commission, I think we're setting up for a really good group of people. And again, because we're not sure, you know, you never know doing planning work who's actually going to show up. So I think it's nice that we have a robust group of people so that even if we do have cancellations or anything like that, that we still have a good group of people from a wide swath of the Kingston community being represented and being able to participate. So just wanted to make sure that it was clear that there is a pretty strong role for the Kingston Arts Commission in this project. So I know that can be, you know, there is some work attached to that as well, but I have a feeling, I'm very confident that we'll be able to make it through it. And again, you know, the first kind of thing we're doing right now is just doing that research part of the cultural plan. And once we've started collecting, like right now we're working with the GIS department just to start looking at maps and things like that. So, you know, one of the next things that we're going to be working on is identifying stakeholders and that kind of thing. So that's another thing that I think you all as members of the Arts Commission could be really helpful in assisting with. So the Project Advisory Committee is going to make recommendations, but I also want to encourage everybody here to consider if there are specific facilities, if there are specific individuals, specific groups or demographics that you think should be engaged either in workshops or in stakeholder meetings. I'd love if you could share some of those recommendations with me via email, just so I have a paper trail of it and can just kind of keep everything collected. And you know, Lord has started doing some of their suggestions, but I also want to make sure that, you know, you all as advisors can also be able to make some suggestions for that as well. So that's where we're at now. The next steps for the master plan are going to be the kickoff meeting with the Project Advisory Committee. And just because the Project Advisory Committee is a larger group, I do think that we probably will just have that meeting between the PAC and Lord, but I'm totally, you know, open to having a conversation with that if you all want to join in as maybe more of like, you know, just viewing and listening so that you can hear, totally open to that as well. And then after we have the kickoff meeting, we're going to schedule a half-day workshop. And that's something that everybody will be invited to. I believe Lord said Zoom has a limit of 200 people, so that's you know where they're at, is kind of thinking, you know, they're saying it can be very intimate, it could be very large, but I like the idea of us all being together and being able to communicate with one another and kind of get started on some of that bridge building work that we've been talking about. So just wanted to make sure that that was kind of clarified for everybody, so you didn't think, oh my God, this PAC came out, where is X, Y, and Z? Just wanted to make sure that you guys all understood that as the Kingston Arts Commission, you are serving in an advisory capacity on this project as well. So if anybody has any questions or thoughts on that, yeah, let me know.
Okay.
Hi. I think this is a great decision, and commend you on it. And I think it's really important for the commission to take a role in this and have the opportunity to meet other players in the community and show our commitment to Kingston and to what's happening here by being present as much as possible. I know I'll make the time. I know everyone in this commission is really busy, but I'm willing to make the time and be there, but mostly for listening, not for talking. So I really thank you for this decision. I think it's a wise one.
Thanks. Maria Elena?
Yes, I don't know if you saw my email. I saw the people that is part of the PAC. I would love to see more Hispanic presence there. I don't know if in the PAC, obviously in the workshop and things like that. I really believe that the Hispanic community is always like far, far, far away of any conversation or anything. And I understand that there is no intention to leave them behind. It's just that the outreach and the engagement strategies being used may work for American people, but it is not culturally competent to reach out to the Hispanic community. So I would like to see more of that. And I'm more than happy to help you in whatever needs to be done. But I really think that we need to have them. And also, I think that Linda commented in one of the meetings to maybe the Kingston Latino Study Committee can be definitely a good asset for the master plan. I don't know in what capacity, but I gave you the name of Veronica. I think that Veronica will be a very, very good person to have involved in this. Okay?
Yeah, I've been, yeah, absolutely. And thank you so much for bringing that up, because that's another thing that we've been discussing with Lord. While a lot of the stuff is going to exist online, we're still very dedicated to making to meeting people where they are. So we are going to be creating every survey that we create, pretty much everything that we offer on the website. You know, I work for the city, so I do this almost every time we do anything online. I have to have a physical copy of it. We're also really dedicated to making sure that we provide this information in comprehensive Spanish. When we originally signed on to the Bang the Table platform, they had said that they were going to have a comprehensive translator available, and their idea of a comprehensive translator was Google Translate. So we had to amend that and make sure that they understood that when we say translation, we don't mean a program, we mean an actual person. So that's another thing that we're definitely looking for.
So that's perfect, and I completely agree with you. I mean, Google is always like the last resource when you don't have anything else. It doesn't work.
Exactly.
But it's not just translation. It's not just comprehensive translation. I'm talking about a cultural difference. It's really, really a different way of reaching out to people if we really want the participation of the Hispanic community.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'd love to talk to you more about how we could do that. And Veronica is absolutely somebody that is on my list. We've been communicating because she's been a huge part of the Kingston Emergency Food Collaborative too. And there are a few other members as well, both on the PAC and that I've been talking to offline about just talking a little bit about where, again, meeting people where they're at, not just expecting people to just visit our website and have that be the end of it. You know, one of Lord's strategies is just going physically to meetings, to, you know, perhaps religious services, things like that. And again, kind of trying to, you know, one of the things we've been talking about is the farmers market. That's been something that's been happening pretty consistently even during the pandemic. So we've been exploring the idea of doing something like that. So even though we are kind of navigating the whole COVID situation, there's still a lot of opportunities to kind of do more engaged and deeper dives. So once again, you know, translation, as you said, is kind of the first step, but it's also about kind of even just understanding these communities. So I definitely want to connect with Latino Folklife and just kind of have a conversation with that. As most of you know, I'm really close with Susie Jimenez from the Latinx Project, and we've been talking a lot about how we can kind of make this look a little bit different from the traditional cultural planning approach to how to reach out to different communities. So that's definitely something that we have on our radar, and that we're, you know, trying to do as authentically as possible. But let's definitely connect so we can dive even deeper. Peter?
Yeah, I was just curious about our funder for this project and what's been the communication with the progress.
So we have been communicating with the Novo Foundation. As you all know, the Novo Foundation has been working really hard for the past couple months to offer support for COVID-19 relief funds through the Community Fund Project, but also through different ways. Currently, right now, when we make a note of our funder, we do have to communicate with the Novo Foundation about how we communicate about their involvement with this project. So that's one of the things that Ruth Ann and I have been talking to Novo about right now, about kind of where they want their position to be, because we all have an understanding of kind of where they're at. But in terms of communicating that with the public, I think that's going to be really important moving forward. That was one of the first questions that came back from our press release, was just kind of like, well, where did the funding come from? So that's something that we're talking to Novo about. And they have a fairly, it's not a particularly rigorous reporting process. And Trudy is also somebody who's been working a lot with the Mutual Aid and Kingston Emergency Food Collaborative project, and with another few local projects. So I have just been talking to her a little bit as well about kind of what we should be doing there. So definitely a conversation that's happening. And as soon as we get the go ahead to speak openly and honestly about their involvement, I think it'll be really good to be able to share that with folks, because I think it's a really, I think it's, the way that we got the funding for this project is, I think, a really interesting story, and I think has a lot to do with a lot of the cultural resources in the city. I think there are a lot of folks who have also had experiences working with the NOAA Foundation. I think that would be a benefit to be able to communicate about, but they're on board and they know what we're doing. And so they're team cultural plan for now. Ione, did you have something?
Yes, that sounds great, by the way. I'm very glad to hear that there's happiness there, smiling. I just was going to point out that the communities of Latino communities, what's important also to understand is that it's not just one solid block, and that there are different countries involved and different cultures of these countries, so that it's more delicate than just the language, just speaking Spanish. So
right. Sorry. I think that's also another thing that, when we were even having this conversation with the consultants, I was encouraged to hear them say that to me. I was like, thank God, because they were like, well, we just want to clarify that, as Eva, who's one of the leads on there, is part of the Latinx community, and she just wanted to make sure that we all understood that you can't just kind of say, oh, everyone from X country join, that it's not as simple as that. I think that that's going to be one of the interesting things that we kind of discover as we do more work with the cultural plan, is that there's always a collection of differences that make up a community. It's even in the arts community. We all know it's like, well, artists, that can apply to so many different things. And it's the same thing when we're talking about demographics that are related to gender or race, is that they're not just comprised of one identity. It's a multitude of identities that come together to create a larger picture. So hopefully with our work with the cultural master plan, like I said, I was relieved and encouraged to hear our consultants communicating that to me. And I was like, yes, I am aware, thank you. But I was very glad to hear that they were on board with that. Ward?
I want to go back to what you were talking about the role of the Arts Commission. And I'm not exactly sure how communication works. In other words, if you, when you communicate to your advisory group, is that through the website? Is that on email? And when you communicate with them, will we be communicated with at the same time as a kind of a CC? I don't know how communication occurs with the cultural master plan.
And that's something that we could discuss, because, that's something that I want to kind of put forward to you all, because we have a few different options for that. I believe that the majority of our communications are going to be via email. There's a little bit of paperwork that we've been working on getting from our 16-person commission. So some people, shout out to Peter, got that information back to me very quickly, and we're all on the same page. So I think moving forward, we're probably going to do the majority of our communication through email. I think the communication through the Engage Kingston website is more going to be like a newsletter or like an e-blast. So that's going to be a good tool for if there is a survey posted, if there is a new post made or anything like that. I think that's the tool for that. But in terms of the PAC communication, I do think the majority of it be through email. So there is an option to say, I can always just put CC Kingston Arts on that so that you're all looped into the conversation. I can provide updates at the Arts Commission meetings. I can do kind of like an end of the week update. There are a few different options for that. And I think there are easier ways and ways that are maybe a little bit more complicated, but I think that that's something that we can discuss if anybody feels a particular way about it.
Well, I would try speaking for my colleagues now, and please, of course, I know you're not shy, tell me if I'm wrong. I think that if you are considering us to be an important stakeholder in this, and I heard that from you just before, that we should be included in all of the communications that you're sending out to the advisory committee. Have I
Awesome.
represented our feelings correctly, folks?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's easy
Yeah.
enough for, all you have to do is CC the Arts Commission email address and we all get it. So that's.
Okay. Yeah. So if that is something that is, I think that works out perfectly. That's a lot easier for me. But again, I just didn't want to say like your inbox will now be flooded because again, there is, a little bit more, it's going to be a little bit of backs and forths and things like that. So just wanted to make sure that everyone was cool with that. But if that is the case, that is excellent because I think that works. I think that's the best strategy. I just didn't want to say like it shall be so. So I think that works out really well. Like I said, the next step is going to be figuring out that kickoff meeting. So kind of similar to the meeting that we had with Lord, where we all kind of just got to introduce ourselves, get to know one another, get to know Lord, and kind of understand the scope of the project. That's the next thing that we're going to be planning for the end of June. So that was a hefty update. So I thank you guys all for kind of rolling along with that. So apologies if it was a lot of information. And yeah, now that we're kind of coming back into more of a normal state of things, and I have been able to step away from a lot of my responsibilities at the Kingston Emergency Food Collaborative, and we have everything squared away with Lord, and we're all kind of on the same page. We're on our way to moving forward with this project. So that is all I have.
Okay.
Richard.
Let me unmute. Yeah. I have some. I've been going over this and thinking. I see the list of people that are on the advisory group, and my feeling, frankly, is that what's being created here is again an advisory group for people who are making decisions, and what I don't see that I think is extraordinarily important is a sense of actually collaboration in making the decisions. In other words, going to the groups that are already existing as a whole, not cherry pick people from it, but those groups as a whole to be collaborating in on this, to be at the table. And this is a thing that I think is crucial. MAD should be a major part of this. MAD Draw, should be a major part of this operation, and it should be at the table of the decision making. I think it's got maybe just to have a representative. I don't think is enough. We're talking about what the picture I get. Without that is that the cultural master plan is going to run this way and it's going to be doing these things, and MAD is going to be going over here and doing its things, and it'll have a representative and they'll talk to each other and talking about cultural groups, Latino cultural groups and Harambe, for instance. We're talking about arts and culture. Needs to be in on this, but
Is Frank Waters not working with Harambe anymore?
Huh?
Is Frank Waters not working with Harambe anymore?
Oh, but you've got Frank Waters listed as he's Midtown Rising, Black History Month, My Kingston Kids, Midtown Arts District, you've got a guy, he looks like the Dr. Seuss character with 15 hats. This is not really saying, well, those groups are represented just because Frank Waters is on. Wait, let me just.
Okay.
Huh? Yeah, let me just
I
finish.
was going to provide some clarity on what's going on with the stakeholder meetings and where that has an opportunity, but
let me just finish my point. What I and I've seen this, and I've been involved in other meetings. I've been involved with Harambe in the Black and Brown meetings that have to do with the city, with the county's response to the COVID crisis, and I see a similar kind of situation where, you know, it allows a group to be working this way, and then there's the another group that's working this way, and they may be talking to each other, but they're not collaborating. And this is the kind of thing that, I mean, I look at this list and I don't see that. I see some people who were really involved and really part of groups, and people who aren't at all. And I don't see the sense in that. And I think, you know, there may be meetings, there may be workshop meetings, but there needs to be a structure at the beginning that says, you know, this is how it's going to be run. This is where it's going to be, there's going to be a collaboration between the city and groups that are already operating, that, in other words, drawing on their resources. Instead of trying to, there's too much of this that seems like it's A, reinventing the wheel, and B, depending way too much on just an outside consultant as designing this. I know there have been talks with Lord, but hear from afterward.
Lord is our consultant, but they are not leading this project. And there's actually a lot of room for us with a 16-person committee, myself, the Arts Commission, Ruth Ann, and then all the other members of the Kingston community who are going to be invited to participate in this. I just don't see us relying 100% on Lord. We do have to use Lord as our consultants because they're helping us develop some of the tools that we have to use. So if we all want to come up and reinvent the wheel and figure out how to do the survey, I mean, we can all do that ourselves, but the whole point of having the consultants there is that they provide a professional understanding of how to do some of this work. And they've had some really, really smart recommendations, but we don't have to take every recommendation that we make. And that's the cool flexibility about the work with the Cultural Master Plan, is that if you have a 9-person Arts Commission and you also have a 16-person PAC, along with 2 city staff members who are able to provide feedback to Lord about what they should and shouldn't do. If it was just Lord is telling us this is the way it's going to happen, then I could understand that. But even with their outreach strategy, they're providing us, you know, information that I then am going to provide to you. You guys are going to provide feedback to me, and then we're going to kind of have a conversation about that. And I understand that we want to create collaboration, but we don't have an answer for how we're going to do that. And that's kind of what the Cultural Master Plan is answering what that how is. If we just bring a bunch of people into a room and say collaborate, I don't know if that is necessarily as helpful. And in relation to the project advisory committee, I definitely feel like we have to have a stronger sense of communication amongst our arts organizations. And some of those people that are on that PAC list, we have never spoken to. We haven't had them at the Kingston Arts Commission meeting. They weren't a part of, you know, the work that we've done in the past. They haven't come to the exhibition openings, things like that. And I think that having these people on an organization being able to talk to on a committee, being able to talk to one another and to be able to talk to the Arts Commission, where we have a strong representation from MAD, I think is going to be a really important thing. So I understand where you're coming from, and I definitely hear you, but I just want to make sure that it's expressly clear that Lord is not running this project. There are consultants. So they're a tool for us to use, and we can use them as we think that that's going to work out. But at the end of the day, it's kind of up to us to figure out how we're going to move forward with this. But it's a daunting task. And a big part of this is the collection of data. And I think we've done an okay job at doing that, but there's so much more that we could be collecting and figuring out, especially as we're going through all this COVID situations. Like, we need to have that comprehensive data. So that's one part of it, but it's not the whole part of the plan.
Addie, I'm not talking about Lord running it. I'm saying when you say it's basically us who runs it, I'm asking who the us is. And that's why I'm saying, you know, is it just a group of people on an advisory, or is it actual organizations literally, and this takes work, actual organizations creating a, you know, where we create a coalition to be behind this, where boards meet boards, where groups start talking to each other and really being at the table with the city, not just as individuals.
So that's where the stakeholder meeting comes in. Maria Elena, would you like to weigh in?
Yeah, Richard, I think I understand part of what you're trying to say. And, you know, once we have the conversations is when we are going to create those collaborations. I really think that so far what we are putting on the table is very open and very transparent. Even in this meeting, how many people are meeting today here? 11, and 3 of you are part of MAD. So I really think that the presence of MAD is being not only in the commission, is not only as a stakeholder, but it's going to be present there. So I don't think that MAD is going to be out. And I understand what you say is not the same one person from that organization that to have the organization, but you cannot bring everybody from MAD to the conversation because it's not practical. And then Harambee is not going to bring everybody else. And then we are going to bring everybody. So we will never have a meeting, because if everybody has to bring the entire organization, how we can move forward?
And I think that that's something.
I just want to say that also the PAC is not making decisions. That's not what their role is. Their role is to be a part of the process and to advise.
How can we find out who's on the advisory committee?
It's been listed on the Engage Kingston website. So if you just head over to that website right now and you look on the right-hand side, I put it in the email.
Engage King.
Yeah. I just want to, the engagekingston.org is where you go, but I actually tried to find it on the website, Addie, and I had to just go to engagekingston.org. I couldn't find it on the website. I know the Kingston website is not the easiest to,
Oh, I saw it.
I was going to actually make a suggestion and make it easier to see on the website.
If you click on the cultural master plan, they are listed on the right. Just click on the
on the Kingston.
So here's what I'm just going to do this right now.
In website on my telephone, it's not there.
It says engagekingston.com.
Right.
Okay.
The website is there, but the list of the advisory committee members isn't.
Yeah, I looked at it earlier and it is.
For expediency, I threw it into the chat box here as well if you want to look at it.
I'm looking
at you. I was just about to do that. So if you head over to the Engage Kingston website, what you do is that you head to projects, and then under projects.
I found it. I got it.
Okay, just wanted to make sure. Okay,
so there's
there we go. So, right, yep, and it's on the, if you take a peek, it's on the right-hand side, right underneath. So that's where we're going to place the Arts Commission as well. And since we've never really done that before, of putting the Advisory Commission and then the additional art, for the Arts Commission to be under there. So that's going to sit right under the PAC. So I think it'll kind of, the right-hand side of the Engage Kingston website is kind of showing the players. So that's kind of all in one space. I did just want to loop back because I know Linda had something to say, so I just wanted to hear from her.
I just wanted to say that this is an amazing opportunity for us that are running organizations and volunteer groups and doing things around Kingston, for us to get to know people that don't come to these things and to work shoulder to shoulder to build this. And so once the consultants are gone and we have the plan, we can continue the work. So I'm really, it's like we're at this precipice where we're getting ready to launch this. It's really important that we do it right. And then I just have to say the obvious. We have got to make sure that it's not all just white people that are on that. you know, we have got to pull in people from the communities that have given up to ever being listened to. And we have to get them, you know, somehow working with us, listen to whatever it's going to take. I feel just like we have the opportunity now to change the way Kingston is moving, or the whole United States is moving. So it's scary, but I think it's a great opportunity.
I completely agree. And you know, as a person of color, as a young woman, as a queer woman, these are issues that live on my skin and in my body and are a part of my identity. And I just, you know, would hope that everyone on this commission would understand my dedication. I think a lot of the work that I've done at the city already has been about inclusivity, you know, and about showing up and about doing more than just putting together kind of like you know, shallow things. That's part of the reason why a lot of these people have been invited, is because they have connections to other communities that we might not have connections to ourselves just on this commission, or to guests, or for people who are guests of the commission. You know, we don't always have those connections. So, you know, thinking about someone like Eva from the TMI Project, the TMI Project has done an amazing job of going in and amplifying voices that have not been listened to. There were so many conversations that have happened just over the past year that we at the city, we watch those things and listen to those stories that come out. You know, thinking about Rachel Jacob and the community that she works with, I mean, you know, neurodivergent adults and all of that kind of stuff is so important. And the PAC is one part of this work. The PAC is not the end all of that work, which is why I wanted to make sure and reiterate that we all here have a responsibility, and there is an expectation that the Arts Commission people will be doing that work as well, because that's kind of how we do the authentic work. Because if we just create a, you know, if we just create a committee of people where we pull in all these different individuals and kind of more approach it from tokenism, I think we're going to end up in not so great of a situation. I think the PAC serves one role as advisors, but all of the work that's going to be done on the cultural master plan is for everyone. That's kind of the challenge of it, is we're not developing a survey for 5 or 10 people, a couple of board members to take. We're creating a survey that we then say, hey, your entire mailing list gets this survey and needs to participate in it. When we're doing an economic assessment, we're not just looking at 1 or 2 businesses. We're looking at all of the arts businesses in the city of Kingston. These are huge things that we're tackling right now. So I just want to make sure that, you know, we're kind of in that spirit of unity and support, because we can't invite every single person to the PAC. Because if we, I mean, like I said, I was originally told that this PAC had to be 10 people, and we're at 16. And I understand that there's a frustration that it's a lot of executive directors, and I completely understand that. But at the same time, these are people who I don't think that every person on the PAC has been heard already. I personally don't feel that way. And I feel like I did a lot of work to put together a group of people that I think would benefit from hearing each other. And I think we, as the Arts Commission, would benefit from hearing from as well. And I think that as we start to see each other as peers and as colleagues, and see ourselves as working towards a mission that we're all a part of, I think the question is, how do we develop what that mission is? And that's what the Arts and Culture Master Plan is about. It's about all of us coming together and figuring out what the future of Kingston is going to look like. You know, if we're talking about things like equity, there's a place where we have to start. So I just, you know, want to make sure that that's also kind of something that's communicated as well, is that this is one of the first things that we're starting on. We have neighborhood workshops we're putting together, you know, and that's stuff that we're going to have to give feedback for. There's so many different ways to engage, and because everybody is so different, there are different ways that different people are going to want to engage. Because this list of people, you know, there are folks that were reached out to that maybe didn't have capacity and couldn't say yes. There are folks who were reached out to and who weren't interested in working on a cultural planning project. So there is a lot of push and pull there as well, of saying that, you know, this isn't just like a willy-nilly thing that has just come together. This is something that I've put a lot of time and consideration and thought into. It's not something I've done completely on my own. I've asked members of the commission to give me recommendations. I've spoken with the mayor. Ruth Ann and I have been working on it, and I've been, I have been doing a lot of work on it personally myself as well. But I just want to make sure that that's kind of communicated, that my energy in creating this project advisory committee is the work doesn't end here. This is one step in we have 8 months of work coming ahead of us. And it's not just going to be work done through the project advisory committee. And it's not just going to be work done through the Arts Commission. It's going to be work that's going to be done in a lot of different kinds of conversations. And Richard, I definitely hear you about collaboration. You saw my energy on Burning of Kingston. I tried to open that up and make some spaces for people for exhibitions that we've had here at City Hall. Been trying really hard to work with individuals that maybe I haven't worked with before. So there is push and pull, and there is room for people in this. So I just want to make sure that that's also communicated. There's room for everyone if we make that accessible and available, and that is something that we're working really hard to do.
I just want to ask you, are you saying that the advisory committee is not going to be enlarged in any more though?
I think it would be challenging to do that at this point.
Well,
I think especially to,
because there are organizations like, I'm thinking of Transart, for instance, that's not on there. And
I spoke with Greer last week, and Transart is working on their own cultural planning project through design thinking. They've gotten a grant for that, and they're working on a really exciting project. They also have some other things that they're working on, and if you want to recommend them as somebody who should be interviewed for the stakeholder meetings, I think they're a really amazing candidate, and we've actually already put them on Lord's radar. So just wanted to communicate that.
I'd also like to speak for Still Listening Project in Kingston, and we are developing many things related to sound and music, and that is music beyond the usual music, but extended understanding of sound and music. So I'd like to put in a word for that and talk to them about our projects. Thank you.
Yeah, I just have this is a totally brass tacks, silly question, but it's about communication. And I know that we're going to get everybody to go to the Engage Kingston, New York website, but there is no link to it on the Kingston City website. So it just seems like if we could do that, when people are going, they might actually engage because they'll see it there. I know that Engage is not just for the Ulster, our plan, the master plan, but all other grant funded, well, whatever. It's for many things, but there is no link to it that I could find anyway on the website. So I just wanted to make that recommendation. If I know the website's hard, it may not be possible, but if it is possible, I think it would be great to have a link so that it would be even more accessible for more people to engage.
That's a great recommendation. And one of the things that Lord is also suggesting to members of the PAC, and that's something we're going to go over in the kickoff meeting, is encouraging all members of the PAC to have a link to the Arts and Culture Master Plan landing page that exists somewhere on organizational websites if possible. So that's also something that's kind of in their outreach strategy, is encouraging folks to kind of embrace that. And, if you have ability to edit your own websites or that kind of thing, to have those links living there as well. But I'll definitely make sure to put a link on the city website to make sure that that's a little bit more comprehensive.
Okay, we really have to move on, folks. So, Peter, can you update us on the Ulster County Legislature and arts funding?
Yes. So it's not a final done deal yet. There's a meeting that's going to happen on Tuesday at 4 p.m., the Ways and Means Committee. Some cuts have been made. I don't know, Linda, have you heard anything about cuts to Arts Mid-Hudson?
I heard from a grantee that they were listening in on the meeting, which I could not listen in on, and that they were recommending a 33% cut to the budget.
That's correct. I wanted to not deliver that in a harsh way. I just wanted to see if you had heard that. So, yeah, so that's the recommendation for Arts Mid-Hudson. But just so you know, other organizations have been cut in half. Some have not been cut at all. So it's interesting to see how the decisions have been made. But I'm going to definitely attend the meeting on Tuesday and do a final push. I invite you to attend the meeting. I don't know if they would let you speak. Probably not, but you can reach out to Lynn Archer, who's the committee chair, and see if she would allow you to speak at that. Yeah, so I think that's, I think there's just going to be a reality of that there's going to be cuts, that it's going to happen. But again, sort of how severe. So that's
Yeah.
kind of where it stands right now. And then so that's the meeting that's going to happen. And then we're having our legislative session next week, and then it will be voted on by the entire legislature, and that will then move it forward to whatever direction it's going. So that's where it's at. You have
Okay.
a question, Ann?
Thanks, Peter. That's great news. I wondered if there's a master list somewhere on who's getting funding and who is not.
I think that will be published. It's public. It'll be public record. So, I mean, it's all public record now because it's all done as resolutions. I don't know if they'll put it in a list form, but I can check on that and see. I don't feel like I can share that right now because it hasn't been voted on. So, but once it's done, it will be a public record because it will be through the Ways and Means Committee. So I'll check on that and see once it goes through what documents they have to support their decisions. Okay. Sure.
I can just add that a lot of people that got funding through the Ulster County Cultural Promotion Fund wrote some really very moving letters. They copied me on some of them. And I know it's a really difficult thing to make a decision over. It's just, you know, as I said in the first meeting, and I'm speaking to the choir here, it's taken us years to build this up. And I don't want to see it just get mowed over. So.
And to speak to that, the one thing that consistently makes me frustrated is that if you look at the scale of funding for things, this is such a small portion of funding. But I think it's like there's a visual thing here or an optics thing here of, oh, we're not going to be, we don't want to fund arts because we need to fund housing or, you know, food insecurity situations, which totally makes sense. But that's not the argument. It's not 1 and 1 equals 2 in this situation. And so, but I think that's kind of what some of the argument that's being made for people who are trying to do the cutting of it right now. So, you know, I think there was a thank you again for everybody who sent out messaging, because there was a huge outpouring, huge. And I think it made an impact. Your funding could have been totally cut. And I think that just the fact that there was a sheer a landslide of letters that came through, I think really helped the cause. So, you know, I think we just have to keep pushing. And there you go.
Good news.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, thanks, Peter. Linda, you want to talk about the Arts Awards?
Why, yes, I do. It's very, this is very positive, very exciting. We can pull ourselves up and feel very happy and warm. So as you all may know, this is the 8th year that we're doing the Arts Awards. I can't believe it's the 8th year. Pat Ryan is on board and very excited about making, you know, congratulating and announcing the awards. We have 8 awardees, which I thought that was not a purpose. It was how the committee decided going through all of the nominations. So I have, oh shoot, I don't have the list here. Oh, here it is. So Art in Public Places is Matthew Pleva. Artivist is Frank Waters. Arts Organization is Rosendale Theater Collective. Arts and Education, Beth Humphrey. Individual Artist, Marker Snyder, AKA Red Shark Boy. Patrons are the Collier family. Special citation goes to Vendora Wixom. And the most exciting thing is the volunteer award goes to Susie Lynn. So
Thank you.
anyway, yeah. So we're gearing up for that. Stay tuned. You'll be getting some more details. It's going to be 7 to 8:30 on August 27th. So mark your calendars. It'll be at your sublime place where you decide to view it. At least we're doing it. we're determined to make it exciting. So anyway.
Great. Thanks, Linda.
Mhm.
So Anne, do you have anything to add about MAD?
Not too much. This is quick. I just am really glad to see all of you today and to know that we'll all be working together with Addie on this project. So it may, in fact, end up being the most important work we ever do. So I can't think of a better team to confer with and also get to know other players in our community. So thank you for that. I think it's wonderful. Ray covered the show, so that's good. We know about that. I think the exciting news that we want to share with you from MAD is that we're taking a space at East Square, and we will have 1,700 square feet next to Drew, CCE, and Laura will be running art programs there weekly. So we're really, really excited about this, and we'll probably sign the lease within the week and start to move in July. And we have plans for August in restriction, and Laura, you can speak to that a little bit. But it's a really exciting time for the Midtown Arts District and for Kingston as we make this move. So that's really all I have to say. Did you want to add anything, Laura?
Only that it's very exciting. Actually, we're moving on June 25th because we have to be out of the Y because they've decided to do their summer camp. But in August, we will be offering programs out of the space. Of course, we have grants with the library and the Y, and both of them, of course, in this COVID crazy. So we have figured out a way to work with both of them in that space, so the kids will come there from the Y, and any junior high school kid with a library card can enroll for free for the month of August to the afternoon middle school programs. I've also reached out, I guess Megan Rowe Weiss is working on a community respite project. I just want to talk about people seeing you and not seeing you. As an art teacher, as an old lady, and it's the older you get, the more invisible you get, and it's taken me. I'm gonna have to be very aggressive to actually be part of that respite program. So if anybody knows or wants to connect me with it, there are certain people that just don't see me, even though I'm here. A lot of people can relate to that, but anyway, we're also trying to offer some programs for that as well. Since we're going to already be having programs going, it'll be a great addition. Hopefully we can do that, keep it going the whole time. And then we'll be having some community projects since the MAD isn't going to be able to do their traditional celebration of the arts or the art expo. We're going to kind of use the entire month of August to celebrate the arts and offer free programming to Midtown Kingston, focusing on youth, but also community art making projects.
Lara, sorry, I have a very quick question. The respite program is with Family of Woodstock?
Thank you. I was given Megan, is it Weiss Rowe or Rowe?
Weiss Rowe.
His Family of Woodstock at the Hut.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Okay, I have a meeting with them next week, so I'm gonna tell Megan what do you want how visible do you want to be? She has your contact info. You want me to give it to
I wrote her, but just say, hey, just remind her that I'm still out here and want to help.
I'm gonna push a little bit. I'm part of the board of Family Woodstock and also for the communication committee. So I'm gonna push Megan on that. Okay.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Excellent.
Okay. Anybody have any old business or new business?
New business.
Oh, right.
But
Go for it.
I can go at the end.
Nope, go ahead.
Okay. Okay, Juneteenth is happening on the 20th. It's a big celebration of Jubilee, what's called Jubilee of the freeing of the slaves. Actually in Texas, it was some years after the original freeing of the slaves, but it was a very personal kind of celebration. And anyway, it's happening. Harambe is sponsoring it and others. And I'm going to be a part of it. It's going from 1 to 4, and I've written something. I'll do a short presentation in the last 4 to between 3 and 4. So so it's an opportunity if you want to check in. It's some very interesting things will be happening, and people who might be of interest to come to some additional workshops that we do, people that we don't see ordinarily, Black people. So this is so that should be fun as well. That's June 20th. So on the 21st, it's World Music Day, and we are doing another huge thing, which is a worldwide heart chant. So it's Pauline Oliveira's Heart Chant, which was created for healing after 9/11. So we've done that in City Hall. We had a very wonderful rendition of it. This is going to be virtual, kin to what we did before, the tuning meditation. We're joining with other organizations throughout the world who are celebrating World Music Day. So this will be it's dedicated to Black Lives Matter. It's dedicated to healing in this time, as it was originally intended by Pauline as a healing for 9/11. So this is going out. So it's 5 o'clock, and we'd love to have you tune into that. There'll also be a test if anyone wants to be part of the test this Sunday at 5 as we kind of work things out. Just let me know. But I'll send out the information. You'll have it. So you know what it is.
That's interesting. I have something.
Thank you.
I want to remind you all that June 14th, which is just a few days from now, is when the Kingston Multicultural Festival goes live. And you can find, there are 20 groups that are going to be performing, many of whom will be in their, using their native languages. It is kingstonmulticulturalfestival.org. And while the Multicultural Festival is on, one of the windows of the Rear Center will have pieces of the multicultural quilt that was done by with many people in the community of all different ages sending in their designs. I think it's going to be a really fun experience, and I think many of us wish that we could be down at Gallo Park seeing it there, but just what can I say?
Yes.
All right. Anybody else have anything?
Yes, I would like to just, we skipped over the Art Walk Kingston. I know Ray talked about it, but I wanted you to hear it from me that it's the 5th year that we're doing it. It's going to be September 26th and 27th. We are looking to have galleries, larger spaces, and even we're probably going to put together an outdoor pop-up where artists that have pop-up tents can gather together. We'll get a permit for a park. So Addie, I'm going to come back at you and ask about that. Would love your help and assistance. So anyway, that's it. Thank you very much. Ann?
One last thing I forgot to mention as part of Art Walk, we're also, Matt is also working with the Todd Samara Art Award. So if you know of people that you would like to nominate, we have, I think, about $1,200 to give away. And that will take place at the, as I speak, it could change, but it was planned for the Maritime Museum during Art Walk. So let's stay tuned and see what happens. But if you know of a worthy person, and there are lots of them that need this money, please nominate them through the Todd Samara Art Fund. Lynn, are you there? Lynn? Okay.
Okay, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I second.
Okay. Okay. Anybody opposed? You all want to stay on the line?
Bye.
Good night, all. Nice to see your
Good night.
faces.
Thank
It was
you.
wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you, Patty. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye, Richard.